We all dream of having a super nice, expensive, high quality sim racing rig, whether that's for actually sim racing or to train for real life. But do you actually need that to get better at real life racing and improve your technique? Or can something like my super budget, completely stock Logitech wheel still help improve your technique, improve your lines, and overall get better times in real life? I'm Angus, and welcome to RaceScape. So we are going to jump into Assetto Corsa using as close to as realistic of a car as I can get. This is the petrol version of the car that I actually race, and this is the closest I can get in Assetto Corsa, and we're recording on a decent microphone now, so we get some good audio. And we're at the drift track, which is where I found is the easiest to actually get a decent feeling track that feels like something that I would race in real life. So how are we going to go about actually testing this for real life training? Well, I'm going to show you the track that I've planned out in Assetto Corsa, and while I'm doing that, I will tell you quickly how we're going to do this. So basically, we're going to do a warm-up run right at the start. We're going to get sort of a base starting time, and then we are going to basically go and work through all of the little areas that I found I was having trouble with when I was actually racing. Because a few little things that I know I could probably fix up because I was a little bit slow on a certain few things. And then after we've gone and practiced those things a little bit, then I can do a final run, putting all of them into one run and seeing how much time I can shave off by tweaking some of the problems that I know I have. And I could put all of that into practice in real life in a couple of weeks when we go to the next race. Also, don't know why I'm in third person view because I shouldn't be. There we go. This isn't the most accurate first person, but my sim racing stuff is a little bit scuffed at the moment. I don't really know exactly how to fine tune all the FOV and wheel settings and everything. So I've got a feeling half decent, but that's as far as I can get at the moment. So let's go do a quick baseline run and get a time on the board to work with. Oh my goodness, this is a sloppy run. Okay. Well, that's the finish, and I'm gonna say that's probably gonna be pretty easy to beat because that was a sloppy run and lots of things wrong with it. So, let's go quickly through all the little issues I had when I was actually racing. So the first one of those things is my braking points. I felt like I was braking very, very hard, probably not at the right spot, and I was sort of losing momentum. In the same vein as that, I also feel like I could probably just not brake into a couple corners and sort of just let go of the throttle or do a bit more throttle control in the corners rather than just slamming on the brakes really late because I'm losing momentum there. And then the last one, which is pretty obvious from that run, is my line choice needs a bit of work. So I'm going to work through those things one by one and see what I can improve. And we're going to start with the one that I think I could use the most work, and that is my throttle control. I feel like that's the big one that if I can sort of tune up a little bit and fix, I can go significantly faster in real life. These first two corners are pretty decent. I can hit these, just let go of accelerator there, cruise through that corner, get back on the throttle, sort of a little bit less there, full throttle through there, and then coming into here is where I brake very, very hard, and I could definitely get away with not braking as hard into that corner. So maybe we can come in here, we can sort of let go of a throttle there, and then just carry it round, go wide there, and then bring it back. Just fully let go of the throttle, and don't use any accelerator through that corner. This one you're going to have to brake into, because it's a bit tight, and you're coming straight out of a straight. And I took the wrong line and crashed. Great, lovely. Then coming into this one, you can flat through there, and I feel like you probably need a bit of brakes through there because otherwise you're going too wide. This one you need to brake for. And then we come into the roundabout. Probably also should brake for that one. And then this last corner, I think you could probably just do without any braking. Obviously, I am still very new to this, so I'm still trying to figure out things. So if anyone has any tips on anything to do with racing, line choice, braking points, throttle control, whatever, anything's going to be useful to me, really. Let off throttle around there, bring it back on, let off there, keep throttle off, turn wide. That was too much turning, and we're in a front wheel drive car. Okay, so that's going to need a bit of brakes. This is just how we're going to have to learn this. We're just going to do trial and error and send it into corners and see which ones I need to brake for. Obviously, we can't do that in real life, but this is sort of helping me judge the speed for corners. This one I know for a fact we're going to have to brake into. Now this one, can I just let off throttle there, or do I need to brake? And it's wide, it's very wide. It probably could use some braking. That one I definitely need to brake into, this one right here. Definitely also need to brake into the roundabout. Actually, maybe not. We might actually be able to hit that without brakes. And then cruising this last corner, just let off the throttle a little bit, bring it nice and wide. Probably could tune up a line there, but it's not too bad. I'm basically doing what I would do on the actual race day, where I just do laps and laps, except now I'm doing it in the sim where I can focus on things and, you know, push a little bit harder without worrying about a little bit of brake there, worrying about crashing. I think that was good. I just had a little tiny touch of brake for that corner. Brake into this one. That was better. And then that one will need a tiny bit of braking, I'd say. Bring it round. Tuck into the apex there, maybe. Brake for that one. Maybe not, actually. If I don't brake for that one, though, then I will definitely need a brake for the roundabout. Let off throttle. Let off a bit more throttle. Nice through there. A little tiny bit of brake into that corner. Go nice and wide, and then bring it back. That was good. I like that first bit. That felt pretty decent. Here we're going to brake sort of a bit earlier into that corner. So we can pull it a bit tighter, and that was not tight enough. So now this corner, I feel like just a tiny little bit of brake coming into it, like just a little one. Just to get us a better line. And then we're definitely going to need a brake into that roundabout. Too fast otherwise. I will say my launches aren't the most realistic, because I just rev the frick out of it and then dump the clutch, which isn't what I'm doing in real life, but it is the sim, and I'm not really working on that right now. My launches could use a bit of work, but they're not too bad. That was no brakes, and that felt half decent, but I did slow down a little bit more coming into the corners before it. I see my momentum just disappeared there because I braked way too hard, and I feel like I'm braking and then not giving it throttle or any power through the corner, so I'm just going really slow through the corners. I just realized I don't even know if I had turned my wheel camera on yet. Now, I do think it would be a good idea to try to actually get a replica of the track I actually race in real life into Assetto Corsa to train on, rather than something that's sort of similar, because I'm sort of roughly learning sort of how late I can brake into corners and sort of speed for corners and stuff, but that's not on the track I actually race. So I'm not too sure how to do that though, but I might try to figure that out, because that would be probably quite helpful to get the local Dunan DTC into Assetto Corsa. Yeah, okay, well, I have been doing a couple laps. I've sort of got a feel for how things are now. There's a couple corners we just need to brake a little bit later into that I was originally thinking I needed to brake really hard for, but if you just let off and go a little bit slower coming into them, you'll carry more speed overall. At least that's what I think. I think it's about time we do a full pace run with all these techniques that I've been sort of just messing around with, and see if we can improve our times at all. So I'm going to do 3 runs, do a best of 3, and see what I can do. Hopefully put down a faster time than we did at the start, with all the lines dialed and all the corners good. So we come into this first corner. We can basically just sort of keep a little bit of throttle through there, let off around there, and then let off into this corner. Come nice and wide, and then hug that inside. There we go. Nice bit of speed through here. And then brake pretty early into there. Hug nice and tight into that. Get really close to those tires. Straight line it there. And again, try to keep pretty close and tight into that. Come into this one, no brakes through there. Just sort of let it off a bit. Come nice and wide into the roundabout. Brake a little bit into it. Keep that cruising through there. Lovely. And then just let off and slowly feed it back in coming out of that corner. And stop. That didn't feel too half bad. So we'll do a run 2, see if we can improve it. I'll go a little bit wider coming into this first corner. And try to straighten it up a little bit. Hug that a bit more. A little bit of a break into that one this time. Just a tiny little touch. And then come into here. Brake a little bit later into that. There we go. That felt pretty decent. Straight line it again. Little bit of brake. Not too much. Just a little bit. That was not enough. That was significantly not enough. Okie doke. Third time's the charm. Bit wide. Nice through there. Keep foot flat. Let off through there. Keep letting off. Just feather a little bit. Feather the accelerator. Bring it back on. Brake a bit later into that one. And just feather the accelerator back in. Or back on. Little bit of a brake tap into that one. Let off around this corner. Come nice and wide and brake into the roundabout. Well, a little bit wide over that, but that should be fine. Accelerate out of that one. And then just slowly creep around this corner. Boom. I probably could also do a little bit of some downshifts there, maybe bring into first gear a couple times around like the roundabout. But I feel like we'd be revving too much because the first gear in this car is very, very short. And I'm not 100% sure how fast we're actually going around that roundabout section. Let's go into first gear. There, that was a really bad shift to first. Are we? No, actually not too bad. We're not revving up too much, but we do need a shift there. So it might be a bit slower. Let's do one final run and try to shift gears a little bit more. It's not so much of a big problem in real life when I'm actually racing because normally you can hit the first corner in like first, shove it into second, and it can just stay in second the rest of the run and you'll be fine gear ratio wise. But this car does have a little bit of a weird gear ratio for this track. It's not perfect. It's like in between gears in some bits. Put it into first coming out of that corner. Probably could have done it a little bit later, to be fair. But that did go around it just fine. Shift into second coming out of there. And bring that home. Come on. There we go. Yep. You know what? Not bad. So now I'm going to throw up the times from the first run we did and then the fastest run we did from the last couple runs. I think we did 4 runs there in total. And we'll see if we made an improvement. I feel like we probably did. But I do feel like my technique on a couple of those corners is definitely feeling a little bit better. But we don't really know until we actually jump into real life and properly test it out. Which is going to be in about 3 weeks, I believe. In about 3 weeks, we have the next race of the season. I ended up missing, I think, 2, which is kind of unfortunate, but I was away. But in 3 weeks, we have the next race at Doonan again. So I'm going to keep doing some practice in the sim, practicing those things I've been working on, and hopefully we can improve my times, improve my technique, and by the time we actually get to the next race, I should be able to, fingers crossed, put down a bit of a faster run that is hopefully a little bit more competitive. Because I must say the last race I did was not great. I didn't put down a very competitive time at all, but it was my first one, so I'm giving myself a pass on that. But with that, that is where I'm going to leave it off. I need to go prep for my next race in a couple of weeks. Need to make sure I can get all my techniques sorted. And if you want to see how the last race I did went, you can check that video out right here. And with that, I'll see you all in the next one.